80% of my presentation, the things that you're going to see here have been already said. So I'm trying to make it as short as possible, but also very entertaining for you for the rest of 30%. So let me start maybe with something that I present almost every year at the ITS World or of the ITS Europe. This shows the numbers, then what is the fleet, the Volkswagen fleet then with V2X then in Europe. So back in 2019, we launched the first vehicle with series V2X. That was the Golf 8. And since then we made progress that not only in the function development, but also in the number of vehicles that are on the road, which is actually a key element in order to bring V2X technology and the benefits of V2X for the customer. So when we committed ourselves then to the Vision Zero back in 2015, together with different other OEMs and stakeholders all around Europe, and started our work in the Car-to-Car Communication Consortium. That was our visionary idea to bring V2X as fast as possible then in the market. And we were able to do that in 2019 with the Golf 8. We got then for that technology, or for that milestone, we got then the Euro NCAP Advanced Award for the first V2X series vehicle then in the world with short-range communication at that time. And that was also from Euro NCAP said that to be the technical milestone. And since then we continued deploying. We introduced then later in 2022 then the V2X functions then in different other models, especially in the EV platform or in EV models, and also additional brands like Cupra or Seat at that time, and the Volkswagen commercial vehicles then also starting deploying on that. We had then 700,000 vehicles then in 2022. In 2023 we had 1 million vehicles then on the European roads. And we start deploying then the first I2V use cases together with the C-Roads, or based on the C-Road specification. And we introduced that first in the EV models. Last year in 2024, I announced then 1.5 million vehicles equipped with V2X then, and we rolled then the V2V in the IC models, and the V2X, we presented the first ideas about V2X using as a virtual sensor for enable ADAS functions. And if we look now at what we are doing, what we consider that V2X is, then we understand that focusing only on one technology or maybe on one communication paradigm, it's actually not the key. So we see that there are different communication paradigms, and this is acceptable in case that you accept also that these communication paradigms, they do not exclude each other, but they are complementary to each other. And this is actually what we are trying to push forward, is this hybrid ecosystem. And if you look then on the way we develop the functions and on the technical requirements of the functions developed by V2X or V2N, then we see then on the left side of this picture that depending on the real-time requirements, then we may use one or another technology, which is also the goal, how the data has to be, or the quality of the data that we need to do. So we see here the direct communication and the cloud-based communication. And if we follow on that picture, we are now in 2025. We had then on the short-range communication, the so-called hazard alert from Volkswagen. This is the, let's say, our function that we introduced in the Golf then back in 2019 and continue to develop since then. We have over 2 million vehicles equipped with V2X short-range communication on European roads, and with more than 12 vehicle models from 3 brands. And this has been, all these developments have been or all these deployments have been done in accordance with the CITS directive that has been already mentioned. And this is essential to understand that in order to have here the interoperability and a system that is scalable, then you need a regulatory framework that allows you to continue deploying without losing actually part of this ecosystem on one side, and on the other side to smoothly integrate then another stakeholders into this ecosystem, or to be part of this ecosystem with new deployments, new car models, and so on and so forth. Moving forward, this is not something that, so this ecosystem in Europe, we did this together with the C-roads, and Martin has already said that. I don't have the numbers from Martin, I have the numbers from somewhere else, but it fits actually. So it said that 3,000 stations, so we are currently communicating with 3,000 stations or roadside units on European roads, based on this trusted communication between vehicles and infrastructure based on the PKI system. And what I didn't have the numbers, but I'm happy that you showed that, Martin. The OBUs, so the onboard units, the dynamic stations, they are not shown here in the map. 2,500, you said that. They are not here in the map, but they are also then part of our trust. Now I want to move then one step further and look into this cloud communication. And we started doing cloud communication then also very early then, so 2017, I think we have the first functions supporting cloud-based communication. And it is a function that exists then in the Volkswagen vehicles, then today it's in selected vehicle models that have navigation and online connectivity, of course. And we integrate that from the beginning with the route navigation. So, and this is where the challenges are coming, because introducing this in a route navigation and later introducing this in ADAS systems, here you need a high quality then of the data. So if you are not able to provide that high quality of the data up front, then you cannot enable the function, or at least we cannot bring this function down for the customer. And now I want to relate to what also Martin said then about Euro NCAP. So Euro NCAP then really was pushing it to 2026, or introduced the connectivity then as part of the Safe Driving Vehicle Assistance Protocol, and addresses there the direct and the cloud-based communication. So this is a very good example of how to accelerate the way to Vision Zero on one side. So the positive aspects are that it includes then a hybrid approach, which is, in my opinion, then also the right way to have both direct and cloud communication. Gives additional credit for using both communication ways. Data exchange is also very important. And very important is it requires vehicles to contribute data to the ecosystem. So do not only use the data, but also provides data to the ecosystem. So this bi-directional approach, it is the key. And rewards also for detecting hazards, not only for the ego vehicle, but also what happens then around the ego vehicle. So it detects hazards on the road in the vicinity of the ego vehicle. But if you look then into detail at the specification of the protocol, you may see that the interpretation of the requirements that are given for the direct and cloud communication, they are to this time not really coherent to each other. So there are some differences. So the short-range communication is addressed to be implemented according to the C-roads and with the European or the ETSI specification on one side. And the cloud-based communication should be done according to the Data for Road Safety initiative. So these two initiatives, or these two parts, are actually the biggest challenge now for the automotive OEMs, how to deal with that. And we looked at very clear in that and see that in case that will not be able, or the regulatory framework will not be able to have a harmonized and standardized way of presenting the application, the V2X application for the customer, then it may happen that these two ecosystems, so cloud-based ecosystem and the direct communication-based ecosystem, they are per definition in the technology, they are separated to each other. But if we are not able to have a unified definition of the use cases on an application level, then this separation, there is no bridging. So they will lose, and we have two coexisting ecosystems that they cannot communicate with each other. So this is our observation on that, and these are also our ideas toward this cooperative and cohesive rating approach. So the first thing what it is required is to increase the rating for connectivity functions. So we have now a rating of about 3 points out of 30 or 20, I don't know, in that pilot. And so in order to push the V2X deployment into the market, we need to increase the rating for connectivity function. And the potential for connectivity function is now very high. So this has been proved. So there are the existing passive and active safety functions that have been done in the protocol for years, but now it is the right time to move to connectivity. So the cars are connected, they need to be also cooperative. But then to provide a unified definition of use cases and hazard events independent of the communication technology or communication paradigm, and also to define a clear criteria for implementation and testability, which means that each OEM deploying these use cases to have the same understanding. So the customer, which is having the Volkswagen, should experience this function the same way it's driving a Mercedes, a BMW, a Ford, and another vehicle. And what is even more important now, when talking about connectivity, is to include in the rating really use cases with significant safety impact. So I just want to point out here the traffic jam. So traffic jam detection, and if I look at the highways in Europe, most of the crashes in a traffic jam, they have fatalities. So there are, especially in Germany, where you have a let's say, I would say no speed limitation on the highway, and you have a traffic jam. So these are horrible crash scenarios. And so this detection, the cars are able today to detect traffic jams. They use the swarm intelligence, and they are able to do that. And this has to be included in the rating. But also very important, and it's been discussed yesterday, also in a separate session, and will be discussed in more sessions this week. It's to include also additional traffic participants here. So it's not only about vehicles, and it's not only about vehicle infrastructure. It's about actually the protection of everybody or all traffic participants. And these are VRUs, especially in the cities, so VRU protection, and but also the ability of a car not only to detect a hazard, but also to have an appropriate reaction to that. So a car must be able to avoid an accident in case that it detects a car. So this makes the car better than, let's say, the driver in that case. So, giving this input, I just wanted, this is the last slide, looking forward. So what are we aiming at Volkswagen? So we deal with local events and with hazards, so-called day one use cases, and already for 5, 6 years till now. So we think that it's the right moment now to move forward and to look into a more, or to have a holistic view of the traffic. So just single events, they help us, but this is not, let's say, the right measure, or it is the right measure, but it's not a sufficient measure on the way to Vision Zero. I said before, V2X for vulnerable road users, connectivity with bicycle and motorcycles, and avoid critical intersection scenarios, especially in the cities. Just invite you to join the CIS 43 and tomorrow, where a colleague of mine then will give them very deep details on that. And then it's been already said, collective perception or sensor sharing is one important class of use cases where that extends and enhances the sight of vehicle sensors. So sharing the information that car senses, and not only the cars, but also the infrastructure, sharing with each other, will also allow to detect non-V2X road users, and also include them in the, passively include them into the, or they are passively into the ecosystem, but actively are, or would be then considered by the active V2X road users. And it also helped to overcome one of the biggest problems in V2X, which is the high positioning accuracy. And this can also be done very well with collective perception of sensors. Thank you for your attention.
Yamamoto from Qualcomm. Thank you for the very good presentation. I recognized that about the Euro NCAP, then describing that cooperation with infrastructure, interoperability with zeros. And I think that is very good practice about the cooperation between infrastructure and vehicle. May I ask some background information how that kind of description included in Euro NCAP, if possible?
How the cooperation was included? Or what?
Yes, I thought that Euro NCAP is basically kind of promotion of safety in vehicle side.
Yes.
And I'm really impressed about the description of interoperability with infrastructure. So how could you include such a description?
Yeah, so this is, so when we're talking about V2X, it's not only about vehicles. So that's why Euro NCAP actually is doing this step forward to say, we're not talking about single vehicles here, we're talking about a complex ecosystem and where the infrastructure is playing actually an essential role. And this has been recognized as so zeros, everything what I showed about the deployments that Volkswagen has based on the CITS directive, they are based in fact on the work we did in the car-to-car communication consortium, which was in fact then a vehicle view on the V2X in general. Car-to-car C-roads had an infrastructure view on that, but you need both of them. You need a vehicle view and infrastructure view in order to enable this bidirectional I to V or V to I, the way you see. And some of the use cases that are presented in the Euro NCAP are infrastructure-based use cases. So it can be triggered from the infrastructure, and you need that for adverse weather scenarios, for example, and so on and so forth. So that's why is it not only based on the C-roads, but includes also C-road specification, the same way it includes, for example, the ETSI standards required, for example, for vehicle to everything communication. So from there.
Thank you. Will you get certification or some kind of test specified in Euro NCAP?
If we get certification for that? Yes, so we fulfill currently with what I presented with our function, we fulfill then the Euro NCAP use cases.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Christian. No, just Christian. Thank you. Yes, Christian, because we have no time for questions. Just go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Christian Cousins from Bosch. Great presentation, Basman, thanks. My question is, you are a pioneer in Europe deploying, I think you mentioned 2 million cars right now, which is great. Can you share with the audience maybe some experiences and how others see this step, how important this point, this North Star, as VW set it up, is it also for others to orientate on for deployment steps? You know, we have a chicken and egg problem, we've heard it all over the place. How important is deployment pioneers for others to orientation?
This is true. So I said actually last year in Dubai, I remember that I said that we do not have a chicken and egg problem anymore here. So we have chickens, then enough, and eggs. Someone may lay some eggs as well, but actually there's not a chicken and egg problem because we have real deployments there, and we have the experience in the infrastructure, we have the experience in the vehicle. And what we gain up in 6 years of deployment is a lot of experience how to do that. So this is also very important to understand, and we put that experience in, we understand, or we understood from the beginning that to share that experience with others in an ecosystem, it is essential in order to push deployments. And we're doing this in the car-to-car communications consortium, of course. and we are improving then also the specification. So this basic system profile and so on. And this is important to understand that a unified or a standardized or a unified harmonized specification in that case that is key in order to let then stakeholders without too much experience in that field to be part of this ecosystem. And this is one thing. And the second one is it allows also the one that are already in the ecosystem to not spend any effort to communicate between players. And so this is what we are aiming at. And yeah, I would be very happy then to share this with some others as well.
Thanks, Wasson. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Russell.